and refer to them, to see any of the videos or hear me talk about anything in particular that you needed to hear again. So that's another virtue of working on Zoom. Okay, so because we don't have a lot of time today for our last class, I wanted to get right into looking at our homework and talking about, how you, took those early lessons to heart and began to apply them when we added this other element, the seductive element of collage. And by the way, thank you to everybody who showed up last night at the at my Zoom talk that I was doing online. I will have that. I will have the recording soon, and I'll send
great.
everybody an email.
Oh, please, thank you.
Yeah, it was lovely to be supported by a lot of you here and a lot of my other students. That was really great. Jean was there. I saw Jean. Who else was there? Oh, Tally was there too.
I learned a lot.
Oh, thank you. Hi, Jean. Okay, so what I want to do is go directly to our Padlet and talk about what we've done with these 6 pieces here. That was really a chance for you to put into action, full throttle color, and the composition all working together. And that is not an easy thing. So let's begin. And what I want to do is what I did last time as well, which is to look at each of your bodies of work here, and then have people weigh in on which one or two feel most engaging and why. And that's not good or bad. That is, are the elements of the design working to keep our eye moving in and around this composition? Have we used some of those things that we know about how our eye and our brain work to keep us engaged? Are we using repetition, either color or form? Are we thinking about how the pieces in the center of this relate to the edges? Are we looking at contrast? What are the things that are holding it together? So Shani, let's start with you. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me see, am I missing? Is this one 6 in here? Yeah,
I thought I had 6, but that's okay if I don't.
Oh yeah, this one, right? Yeah, this was just hiding for some reason. I'm not sure why.
I don't know why it does that.
I don't know
freaked out
either.
this morning because I thought they were all missing, and then I refreshed and they were all there. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of the great mysteries of Padlet. I do not know why. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. This is going to be hard for us to keep open. It's very strange. But all right. Well. Okay. So that's 1. All right. So we're going to try to keep that in mind. And then we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Does anybody just want to, say there's one here that I'm just really drawn to? It's keeping my interest.
I would.
Go ahead, Ian. Yeah.
I like the third one from the one in the middle with
This one.
the next one.
This one here. Okay. All right. Tell us why.
The only thing that bothers me is the white edge, but just because it fills the page, it's got movement, it's got contours. I like the idea of this, but I'm not sure it's the right shape, but I don't know. But it just grabs me because I see the dark and then I go on this path and I see all of the shapes inside. So
yes. And I think this is interesting. Shani's got our arrow right at the very point where we enter. I had said to you that it seems to me that a lot of us enter an image from the bottom right corner.
And the slant goes whoop.
Yep, and then
Right
we
across.
go, whoops, we want to follow that arrow, and then we follow the contour. We might go back up again. You know, we see this and we come back down, you know, so yeah, it's and more than that too. I think you've done a good job using contrast.
Yeah,
Great,
Mm.
because otherwise, and then remember, all you have to do to see if the value is too similar is to squint your eyes and look through your eyelashes. That is the best way to see what is the darkest, what is the lightest, what's the middle. Because sometimes we get very seduced by the color and we can't see it. But when you squint, I can see it better. Yeah, okay. Is
Can
there
I,
one more?
can I make a I'd like
Yeah.
to make a comment.
Sure.
What I really like about all of these is that there's no white. And I of the background of the paper. And for my stuff, I struggled with that white. And I see the variety
Yeah,
here. I see a variety of textures and shapes, like the first one has angular shapes.
yeah.
That one that we were just looking at has those rounded shapes.
Mhm.
And some of the others have a combination of the both. And
Yeah.
there's really good use of not just texture, but the values, even in the
Yeah.
one on the far right. It makes it interesting. So my eyes really do travel around.
Right, and
Yeah.
remember, human eyes, we're trained to see pattern. We're trained to see repetition, you know, in pattern. Like, oh, here's one thing. Oh, what else is similar? You know, so that's one way that keeps us going. I just want to say this, you know, and as we're looking, I also want to pick one that I think may need a little bit of extra work, and that's going to be for everybody, because as soon as we're done looking, we're each going to have a chance to go back into one of our pieces and change it up a little bit, okay, so that you have a chance to practice. For me, okay, when I squint, all right, this is, you know, these dark areas of green are certainly reading as a darker value. They're sort of almost comparable to the dark blue down there. I guess I'm not terribly sure about this area. And I'm just wondering how this might be if we cropped it right here, whether there wouldn't be, you know, just as much interest just by cutting it down. And on your own screen, you can just put your fingers up there, something like that. When I
Mhm.
crop down about halfway,
The
Yes.
lower parts.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, somehow
Good.
these shapes, all right, they seem more meaningful to me.
Yeah.
They don't seem quite as random, quite as they seem more necessary. You know, remember we talked a little bit about that idea of even in writing, editing, you know, so that what you're saying is really necessary, and that there's no extra words that sort of cloud the meaning. And I think, you know, that's what happens when we do this, is that we get a little bit more clarity. Shandy, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I fell in love with the color
Yeah.
and stopped thinking about form and value and repetition.
Yes.
So I agree, it's a little unresolved. Part of me wants to bring that orange rectangle to the foreground,
Mhm.
to start to give a little bit more importance to the bolder shapes and keep those organic shapes in the background.
Interesting choice. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think,
So,
yeah.
but yeah, I think I'm a little
It's
lost in the top
interesting.
inch. Top inch of that is like, I don't know. What's going
Yeah,
on up
yeah.
there?
Well, exactly. Yes, you could crop it a bit, even, you know, like I was saying, all the way down here, because for me,
Yeah,
then
yeah.
these become very active,
Yeah.
interesting
Yeah.
shapes. You know, and look, there's no, you know, one right solution for any of this. We're just saying, you know, what makes it more powerful, what makes it more engaging, you know, what is the really thought through. Anne, did you want to say something?
No.
Yeah,
No, I think I was just covering the picture.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I want to say something because it's something I struggled with was the horizon.
Yeah.
And for me, the white and green kind of stop in the middle of the, in the middle of the
Yeah,
collage. And so kind of makes me stop.
That's
And
right.
then I see, oh, there's all this neat stuff going on underneath.
Mhm.
There's all this wonderful texture. So, I mean, I
Yes.
realized I put stuff together and I was like making them, it was too central focused and
Yeah, but we all do it.
I have to be
Absolutely.
aware of the horizon. Yeah.
Yes, yes, exactly. And you're right. There's something so seductive about these wonderful shapes that, I find myself just looking up here
yeah.
and
Yeah.
sort of ignoring down here. So maybe, another
I
way to
do think,
about
I
it is-
think that bottom half is really interesting.
it is
when you
really
cut it
interesting.
off.
Yeah. They're
But
both
I think
interesting.
her comment about taking that yellow and putting that on top, so you didn't get that straight across line. Because the
Yes.
other thing is using, like, I found myself getting so carried away with patterns and
Yeah.
stuff. Your eye really does need a place to rest
Yes.
if there's too many patterns, right? So I
Yes.
wonder if she did take that gold and put it on top there, if that would be a resting
Be a
place.
nice place. Yeah, I agree with you there,
Yeah,
Katie.
no, exactly. I love, these are great comments, everybody. Yes, and
Yeah, thank you for that.
nobody should feel bad about any of this stuff. This is such a great learning opportunity. There's nothing like, really sort of honing into this, which is we're really leaning into the composition. And the thing is, I was thinking, in a typical lots of collage classes I know focus on neat tricks, and there's not, and wonderful, interesting, techniques like using all kinds of different transparent papers and stuff like that. But those are side that those are the side effects. Those are wonderful, but you have to still go back to the thing that the strong understructure. The understructure has to be there for any of that other stuff to work. Okay, great, Shani. So maybe when
Thank
we
you.
get off, you'll this is the one you might want to just play with and see, how it comes. We come back to it. All right, let's see. Anne, Anne Robertson.
Right.
These are yours. Okay. So okay, we have
Photography.
just 2 sets of 3. Great, perfect. So here's one set, and here's another set. Yeah, so let's just take, the 3 at a time. It's harder to kind of go back and forth, but is there any one of this 3 that you find is most engaging your eye? Most keeping you curious and
My eye goes to the third one because of the beautiful contour lines that are there. They're very gentle and beautiful, and I like the
Mhm.
shapes.
Okay, so you're liking this one, and so you got the repetition of this color and this color down here too, and this sort of, yes, I agree. Repeating this sort of organic shape, and it's torn, which is a nice a little shift from always being exactly like this. It is,
And-
yeah.
And it makes that central pattern that goes from one side to the other, it makes it the focal point in a very gentle way for me. It's very appealing.
Yes, yeah, no, I agree with you. Good.
I'm curious about one thing.
Yeah.
I also am drawn to this same one, but I, of course, immediately saw mountains. And then I said, oh, but what's that water down at the bottom?
Yeah.
But then I moved away from that. What I'm curious about is the sort of arched or lower part of a circle.
Mhm.
Can you
This
point
thing?
to it, Adria? Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. Is this Anne? I can't remember.
Yes, it is. It's
When-
me.
When did you first put that in? Was that one of the earlier things or was that?
Well,
towards the end?
I fiddled around a lot with trying to figure out what to put, how I
Yeah.
lots of old jelly pad print. So I sort of wanted to use it because it's blue and it had red and those are my colors. And so I just kept fiddling around. I don't know when I.
So
Okay.
this was already, this was a printed piece,
Yes.
Ellie, and so, they are really wonderful fodder
Mhm,
for
mhm.
collage making, and you were able to bring in both of these colors. But yeah, and I think all of these, Anne, you really understanding, the virtue of letting the eye go right off the page here with some of these shapes.
Did you try, I'm gonna do this, take a picture of it vertical and turn it horizontal. I think it could be quite interesting to see.
Yeah, no, I haven't. And I realize my lighting is pretty poor today, but
Yeah.
anyway.
It's fine. Good. All right. And let's
No,
just
I
take
like
another-
it. I like it a lot.
And how about this series? Anybody want to talk about which one of this three is most grabbing your eye and why?
I'd like to say the one in the middle is really stunning. I love how simple two different thoughts can blend in together, you know, with like the solids going on in the background and this very splattery, painterly, you know, stuff going on in the foreground.
Mhm.
And I love the choice of color with the bold red, which reads as a dark value, you know, sort of overcoming the other medium tone and dark value of the blue as well,
Mhm.
because it's surrounded by white. And I think that contrast there was a really strong move to make sure that the red and the blue don't just blend in together into one shape.
Mhm. Yeah, good.
Really beautiful.
That's a nice way to put it, Shani, where, you know, you can use the value contrast. So important because we do, you know, if it's all the same, unless you're, you know, and again, this it presumes that we're, you know, we're all kind of on the same page and trying to make, you know, compositions that are satisfying and don't have another, you know, overlay of trying to do X, Y, Z. But you're right, that white can work. The only thing I'm going to push back at a little bit is wondering about this corner of white and whether we need it. So I'm gonna say, do we need it? Because there's a lot of white. And, you know, again, when you squint your eyes,
Mhm.
this becomes a pretty light value. Your strongest values, of course, are the red and the dark blue. And the white has a tendency to, you know, kind of, white is very bright. White really blasts open things. Do we need it up here? What do you guys
Right.
think?
And that may be because I ran out of
You ran
light
out.
blue paper.
I'm sorry, Ann.
That's all right.
That's not a good excuse.
Yeah, no,
I
I
know, I
was
hear you.
fiddling
Yeah.
around and I said, oh, well,
Yeah, that happens, but you
but
know.
I can paint it.
You
Actually, I mean,
can
it's just
paint it,
painted paper.
exactly. And even if it's not exact color, if it's
Yeah.
close enough in value, it will work
Mhm.
to, you know, sort of solve this question,
Right, I agree
right?
with that.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right, let's see, Anne, if there's one that I think you could work on a little bit more, I think it's this one. Although there's
Mhm.
Yeah.
stuff that I like about it and I'm drawn to it. And I think, for example, this little area right here is very successful and it really draws your eye. Then I
Yeah.
pulled over on this side
Right.
and I'm just not quite sure.
Because what I went back and forth for a long time saying, I like minimalism. So I
Yeah.
kept saying, I don't need anything there. And then
Right.
I thought,
Yeah.
well, maybe I do, maybe I need a darker blue, but I like it with nothing there, actually the best.
All right. Well, that's an interesting thing. And, you know, that would be good to see it. So maybe when we, you know, go back to work just for a little while. Well, so you could just get rid of it.
Yes.
You could also take another blue shape or, you know, a different shape and see what you could do. You know, maybe it's really floating here, neither here nor
Mhm.
there.
Right.
Does it need to be connected to the bottom here? Does
Yeah.
it, I mean, again, this splits the whole thing because our eye goes right
Yeah,
up
it is like
here.
a line.
and
It's a
it's a
straight line.
Yeah,
line.
it is.
Yeah, so it's like, whoa, wait a minute. So
Right.
A repeat of any other thing there.
exactly.
It's sort of like the idea of the horizon splitting it, any
Yeah.
like absolutely straight line, you're gonna say, oh, it's like graph paper or something.
Yeah. Yes. So again,
A
asking yourself
beautiful
this
curve
question.
you have started there is kind of nice on that, but all of a sudden those angles.
Mhm.
Right. So this is
You could also cut out that corner and then paste the piece onto another one of your color papers.
Right, yeah, and I have it with just a light glue stick that I can just pick it up and take it off.
yeah.
I
Right,
would,
so-
I think what's going on with the red and the blue up there and that line, that white line, like,
Yeah.
and think about negative shapes, about what you might want to do with the other part, could open up a whole nother painting.
I'm drawn to just the line of the blue and white and the red together.
Right,
Well,
so maybe
I think it's
yeah,
really strong.
thanks, because
Yeah.
I thought, I didn't really want to put something, and I thought, oh, yeah. you should put-
Yeah, take it off. Just take it
Okay.
off, right? No, exactly. So I love that conversation. That's really, really interesting.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, let's go to let's see, Susan. Susan St. Maurice, I guess we'll just do that and then we'll get Susan in there, the other Susan right after that. So we have 1, 2, 3.
And then 3. Yeah, just 3.
Just 3. Okay,
Yeah.
great. No problem with that. Really, really. So let's see, Susan, just to make it a little bit bigger. Okay.
Oh.
Interesting. Yeah, and this is all right, let's just okay.
Oh,
So of these 3, yeah, which
the
one
third
is
one.
the engaging one, the most?
Oh, there it is.
Anybody wanna?
Let's see.
This is Susan Kinsella.
Yeah.
I'm drawn to the one on the far left. So like if you go 1, 2, 3 is in the next line, the first one in the next line,
This
the
one?
brown and white, and yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
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 I'm really drawn to that.
Yeah,
Um,
tell us why.
I like the negative space. The negative space is really kind of what draws you in. I like that. I like that shape that it makes. I also like the repetition of the jaggedness.
Yeah.
And then also the surprise of that brown color or burnt orange color. It's a surprise color. It's not, you have the gray and you have the blue and you have the white and the surprise color, which I enjoy.
Yes, exactly. So she's got repetition. She's got, certainly, again, we know that these edges, especially the harder edges, really act as points. They act as little arrows. And, yeah, my eye definitely goes, to this shape as well. Yeah, and then, I guess you're going to follow that up here, sort of move around in through this interesting patterning, and then, back in here. Yeah, great. That's
I have a question.
yeah.
And this is just something that I think about a lot. And I found myself adding line periodically in some of the pieces I did.
Yeah.
I look at this one, which I love, but I wondered what would happen if you added a black line on, kind of mimicking the points of the white paper,
Yeah.
but add a black line going along that white surface. Would that, because there's no line that I perceive in this, and I'm sort of eager for it.
Well,
I don't know.
yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thing, and the only answer to that is you have to try it to see.
Yeah.
But my guess is that a line would absolutely control our sight first. I think, an extra
It would
line
dominate the thing.
would dominate. Yeah.
Yeah,
And you may
yeah.
or may not want that. But those are really interesting thoughts, though. Okay, and how about, is there another one that we're?
I'm interested in the one that's on the far right, at least with the cutout, the open circles.
Yeah.
They're I mean, they're kind of, you don't see them all the time. They're sort of fun. And I mean, I like you're peeking through something
Yeah.
to see what's under it. So and then there's a sense of you're looking through, because on the left with that curve, you could be looking through a window.
Yeah.
And then here's like another set of windows, or it feels very layered, like your depth.
Yeah. So, and here's an interesting question. I could also see this split in half, and this is something you can try too.
yes.
Is it not
Right.
even more successful with with just this part here, because there's a lot going on.
Mhm.
I just wonder, I'm having trouble getting my eye away from these circles, because you know what that is. That's like the bullseye
Oh,
back
yeah.
over here. It
Good
feels like a
point.
very far reach that I have to make to get over on this side.
Mhm.
One thing you could do, Susan, is maybe
Me
make
too.
one more of these empty circle red things and put it over here.
mhm.
Because that's our, then our eyes would go, oh, okay, oh, over here. And then we would kind of come back into the rest of it, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I had thought of putting something else on that left-hand side of the piece, but I was also trying to stop one thing, not one thing too many.
Exactly. Yeah, it's,
But I see what you're saying about just the right half is actually interesting all by itself.
it
Right.
is. It's
Yeah,
it
super
is.
interesting. Yeah.
But also, I'd like to say, when I look at it now, taking a step back, and I look at that white shape that you have cut, that's on there, and the black in the background, which is, it's very graphic and dramatic, and so is the orange pickable things. The piece of paper that's kind of with the jagged edges, and then you painted over that,
Mm-hmm.
it's like it takes it from a very graphic image with angles and shapes that are kind of repeated to something that, in my eye, it doesn't quite, it's like making that the focal point, where when I really kind of look at that in the whole and kind of squint my eyes and just make that into a blurry shape.
Yeah.
I think there's something really beautiful there, and what could kind of get you back to that. I don't know what it is, but
Well-
does anyone see that?
Yeah, no, and I
Yep.
agree. And you know what? Also, my eye does go to this.
Yeah, it
almost
looks like a
shape.
heart.
Yeah,
yeah,
you do.
Got
And
painted on there.
exactly. I honestly do think the answer is repeating, you know,
Right.
this
Yeah.
red
Mhm.
somehow, you know, in
Or-
this corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So that can
Okay.
sit back a little bit more somehow.
I think it's interesting that it seems like, at least already, a couple of times a question to ask, like, would be, should it really be two collages?
Exactly.
Like, that isn't
Exactly.
something I was asking, but I think I will, like, to, crop it and think about maybe that side all by itself is okay, and then that side could be something else, or
Right here.
maybe you have multiple ideas and it ends up you're doing several collages on this one piece of paper.
Precisely, Anne. And there is nothing wrong with that. I want to put everybody's minds at ease. If you
Yeah.
think that's cheating, it's absolutely not. It is so much used. Everybody, who understands that this is a wonderful tool realizes that the cropping is essential, and we all, really can benefit from it, because we all have a tendency. I mean, I'm always cropping down stuff. That's the one thing that I'm not happy about when I paint is you can't crop the piece of
Can't crop.
canvas. Damn, you have to really kind of make it work. But that's the beauty of the paper. You can do that, and you end up with just, sometimes exactly, something that you wouldn't have come up with otherwise. So I totally want to just reiterate that. All right, Susan Kinsella, tell us. All right, you got 1, 2, 3, and I know your time is short, so thank you for
So
getting these
Adrian,
together.
which one do you want me to work on to continue to work?
Oh, yeah, I think
This one?
I think this would be good, because this one's got a
really
lot going for it,
fun.
and I think it would be really interesting to see what you might find with it. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. All right, Susan. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so which one of these ends up being most drawing your eye? And
I like the one in the middle with the yellow background.
okay, let's take a look at that. All right, so
Oh,
yeah,
that's
tell
great.
us what's going on for you, Susan, as you look at this. And
It's just got a lot of motion. It's in motion. Everything is flowing. It's on several layers. There's sort of the background layer is in motion, and the foreground objects are in motion. And I just love the varied textures on those. I call them coffee beans, but they just look so. They're just so interesting. The shapes and the black dots on them, and some of them are solid and some of them are textured, and then there's these mysterious black ones that it's hard to tell how they're connected. But I just find this one very joyful and just full of energy.
All right, so my question is, what's going on up here though? There is also a sense that, and I start here too, and I kind of go and find myself going right off the page, because this is drawing my eye right out, and there's nothing else to kind of draw me back in by saying, oh yeah, that's that shape again. So I'm just wondering if there's some cropping to be done here, with some really interesting shapes though. What do you guys think?
Might be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cropping would help. I also,
ahead.
what is the line in the bottom, the white line?
Oh,
What, from the art, from your perspective, what was your intention with having that there? Because it's almost disarming to see like this beautiful floaty thing. And yet, like, I find it so quirky. I'm intrigued by that decision,
Mhm.
Well, it was sort of not a decision. The piece we had to fit it in 5x8, and that I had torn something off of that.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
so to make it 5x8, I had to include the jagged line. And I thought about that. I thought about cropping it so that it was a straight line.
yeah.
To just cut off the jagged edge and just make it a little narrower. But I decided to leave it the way it was.
Well, that's the issue, because we read it, and that's the thing. We read everything presented to us. Everybody, that's true no matter what. So this is what we're going to look at, and we're going to presume that this is, this is
Purposeful,
a
right.
intentional decision. And if that's true though, where else can my eye find a similar? Because it's the only thing, and it's drawing us in down here. That's the thing. Is it how can we get our eye back up here? How can we, stop it from being sort of a rush from the right to the left? And that maybe,
Adrienne,
yeah.
Yeah, I was sorry to interrupt. I look at this and this is a question I ask myself a lot, like following certain rules in design, like the rule of thirds.
Mm.
And here's something that's really trying to break that rule of thirds. And yet when I start to crop it in different ways, like vertically, I almost see one or two, maybe three different pieces where sticking to the rule of thirds actually really does help, like as much as I hate to admit that, like I don't like to follow the rules, but if we follow the rules, this actually becomes really beautiful, including that white line at the bottom.
Okay.
And I find that really fascinating to take a look at this and go yeah, this is a really interesting set of things going on. And yet, if you want to put a set of rules on it, I would say look at rule of thirds and see what it does.
Shani, you know what? This is really funny. I never was I've never used that rule of thirds. I mean, I vaguely know what it is. Do you want to just refresh everybody's memories a little bit here?
Sure. I mean, it's really just taking your piece and dividing it into a 3x3 grid, so that you start to align certain large lines like horizon lines and vertical lines to be in line with that grid. And so in this case, if I were to completely crop this piece almost in half vertically, then I make that top yellow part be the top third of the new piece. Then the rest of it lives in the bottom 2/3. And it makes sense to me.
It does.
Because now oddly enough, I'm following a rule.
Well, there's a reason. Yeah, I mean, there is a reason why those things kind of exist, and it just goes back to the phenomenon of our eyes and brains working together and kind of making sense of things, So I think
Yeah.
that's how you can sort of say it. But yeah, whatever it is, you're right. And I think, Susan, your job today, should you want to take it on, would be to
Did you accept this
Yeah.
My
job?
mission, huh?
yes, exactly. The mission is to kind of resolve, what's our people are saying is already a very interesting, but kind of swishing from right to left here. Okay. So good. And yeah, let's, what, I'm gonna go ahead to, yeah. I mean, I just want to say real briefly, that's also an interesting one. My feeling about this one is that you don't really need the cuts in the outer edges. There's already so much stuff going on in here. I think I would prefer that this be just a simple shape, because wow, we really get so involved in the beautiful mark making and the brush stroke work here. So that would be, a little bit of less is more kind of deal with that one too. Okay, let's see. Anne Schaffler, let's take a look
Yeah,
at yours. 1, 2, 3. This is from last week, no? Or yes, maybe?
yeah.
Okay, and this one. All right, so which of these ones seems most drawn
They're
to
doubles, aren't they?
anybody wanna?
They're variations.
Are they there? Oh, they are. No, it's like,
Yeah.
Oh,
how
yeah.
is this different? It's like a test right there.
Yes, it is.
Do we take a
Because I like
vote?
that.
Left or right?
Which is,
This is a really interesting exercise.
Oh,
It is.
yeah. All right, now I see it.
oh my God, yeah. So I guess Anne's question is, do we like this one better than this one?
Yeah.
I think
Hmm.
the addition of these little floaters, guys, up here, is that adding to our appreciation.
I,
It
and
is.
to me, it's not.
Okay.
Oh,
I don't think you need them.
Oh, no, I see the other differences.
See, I
Interesting.
like the addition. I
Yeah.
think the addition gives some energy to it, some, almost like a little bit of activity.
Sure.
That
Yeah.
square is like stabbed right through by the blue line, and
Mm.
then you put that up and so it seems very stable. And those kind of give it some activity to me.
All right,
nice
we're
and
gonna try this.
balanced.
All right, we're gonna do another little thing on this one. Now that it's full screen, see what happens when you cover the bottom half.
Mhm. Then it's, then it works.
Ground it.
It grounds
Yeah.
it. And it
Yeah.
also, doesn't center this very stable, piece in the
Mhm.
middle. And then you're also just cutting it right in half this way. I guess I would question why. Why does that have to be cut? But when you take this away from being pretty much center focused,
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
suddenly you get a much more dynamic design. And my eye does enjoy these guys in the top because, I go picking up on the blue through here. And, all in all, the distribution of the negative shapes, I really see the beautiful red negative shapes in here. I'm finding more pleasing, more interesting than the whole. And the same thing goes with, covering the bottom. I covering the top half. Although, it still needs something down here. I think it's more interesting when your orange goes off the page.
Mhm.
So this would be one in, where I would just say, I wonder if you cut both of these and cut this one directly in half, just, widthwise, then work on each one separately and see, or maybe this one
Yeah.
needs a little bit more.
Okay.
Anyway, but that's the thing. Don't be afraid to take away. Don't be afraid to look at it another way. But I want to make sure that you understand, Anne, what we're saying here. What are you thinking about that? I mean, and feel free to disagree, and it could be.
Yeah, I realized that it was kind of too floaty after I made it. It felt that it was just sort of not placed in the right place, but
Mhm. When was the blue line an attempt to kind of hold it in place?
kind of,
Usually-
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I was thinking of putting stitches through it, but I decided that was too crazy and
Yeah,
um,
because you don't need it. because we really, I mean, I'm enjoying looking at this beautiful
Mhm.
stuff going on here. We don't want to, take that away.
The other
Okay,
thing
well,
that I just want to add that I appreciate, there's definitely a design, a thoughtful design there in the completeness of this. And but also that she stuck to the three, picking those three colors and then
Yeah.
then an opposite, like, and
Yes.
being able to step back and see the effect that that has on this. There is a drama to it because of that. And I think,
yeah,
something very nice in that design too. And I think that is part of what makes a difference for my eye anyways.
mm-hmm. No, yeah, and it's thoughtful the way she sort of off-centered this. It's not directly smack in the middle, yeah, absolutely, it is thoughtful. And I'm just saying, that those are some other options, absolutely,
Yeah.
for
And
sure.
another one too.
And how about, we should just look quickly at this one here, that we have an addition of the black up here. And is that more successful without it or with it? So what do we think here?
Oh, these are.
I don't know.
Oh, without the top piece of
Yeah.
black on the first one?
Yeah, so we got this little guy.
No, you don't need that.
I think you don't need it either.
I don't think you need it either.
But
I
the
like
black
it.
bottom is dramatic and very effective.
Yeah, I like the black.
Mhm.
Yeah, let's just see this one
Yeah,
here.
black is- oh,
Right, and I think what happens without this extra black is that you don't get stopped. You're like, appreciate this really beautiful negative shape of the blue in its full
no,
beauty.
it's beautiful.
You don't really need it. Yep. Yeah,
Oh, I love the shapes, the biomorphic shapes and how it's very kind of whimsical. Oh, it's nice. And still using sticking to those three colors
mm-hmm,
with a totally different effect.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, and Anne, you've got the little star shape here. You don't have it anywhere else. What do you think?
Oh, I know it's not repeating. I was on a Matisse kick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
uh-huh.
It shows, it's lovely.
Well, it would be interesting. Here's one thing I'd love for you to try. What happens if you, maybe have two other sort of smaller stars in
Okay,
this design and see if
all
that
right.
is something that is helpful? Okay.
Okay,
Very good.
I just, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. No, and Matisse is a great one to look at, and to really kind of see what he does with, all those really beautiful organic shapes. All right, let's see, Katie, let's take a look at you. All right, so we've got 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, if you look at the one, you can see the ones that go together, like, just leave it right there. So the one
Okay.
on the, no,
Yeah.
that one, the first one, that there's one up above. Yeah, just if we just looked at like the first one, the third one, and you can see that they have kind of the same, working with the same colors.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's other ones, and the one in the middle there with the green,
Yep.
But the other ones, they're all just playing around, but we might as well just pick a couple that are.
Yeah, no, right. And I would ask the same question, which is the one that draws your eye. Okay, do you have a couple more down here, right?
Yeah, but that's okay.
All right, well,
You can
anyway.
look at them all, whatever.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
but is there, what's one that you're really drawn to and why?
There's another one if you go, well, no, there's plenty there.
All right, let's stay with this because this is a
sounds
lot to
good.
look at. Yeah.
Hmm.
I like the one on the left with the circle, the arch.
Okay.
Below that one,
Yeah,
Below
that's,
that.
me too.
down below, no, right below what
Yeah.
you,
This one. Okay.
That one, I
All
do
right,
too.
let's see this one.
I-
Oops.
I think it's the shapes that draw me and
Mhm.
might want a little darker or something, but
Yeah, that's.
I like the arch.
I picked
and
my
the-
colors and they're all,
repetition.
it needs some dark. Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, so yeah, and you're saying that this feels very resolved and interesting because your eye is drawn through it. Yeah, and Katie, I think you did a good job without, it's hard to do this because you do have patterns going on here, but I think you separated them enough so that it didn't become too overwhelming in any one place, you know? Let's see.
I think I would let the flower just be without it being held in place. You know, up in the left corner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't need that.
I don't think you need that other arch there.
Yes, exactly. I don't think you need, yes, right. It's almost too much. Yeah, we don't really need that. We have this here. And then interestingly, you know, the form of the flower does bring us back to this kind of you know, form here. So that
The
kind of
triangles,
relates, you know, but yes, I don't think you need this. That's interesting. You know, what can we do without? I'm wondering a little bit about this piece down here. Do we need that? What happens when you crop just above? Do we have enough? I would say
Yeah.
maybe, you know, you may disagree, but I feel like for me, this is drawing my eye down. And I want to be encouraged to look above here.
I like that better.
I'm personally get kind of stuck in there. But when you kind of move your border up and just crop right along the edge, then you know we follow these lines up into the rest of the design.
Even though you lose the repetition.
Well, but we have the repetition with.
I'll bring them over, okay?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, yeah.
But I don't think you need, I agree that you don't need
Yeah.
that. It distracts, but you have so much going on in the.
There's a lot. Yeah.
really
That's okay.
color.
Yeah.
I think it
So I'm gonna-
also.
You
it
need to let
improves
Katie
the-
know she was out
Hi,
of.
sorry, I just got called away.
okay.
It was a bad moment, right when you're talking about my piece, so
Oh,
go ahead.
okay. Sorry. Where did you leave off there, Katie? Where
No,
did you-
take off that top thing, the top curve, which I did, and then crop it at the
Yep.
bottom a little bit.
It's just
so
a
that-
thought. It's
Yep.
a thought, you know, see what happens when you just, you know, mask it off for yourself. Don't do anything drastic, but see,
Yeah.
you know, how much of that
Yeah.
do you actually need? What happens when you go up a little higher? What if you crop it, you know, this much?
Yep.
Is that
I
enough?
can't-
You've got your green repeating in here.
Yep.
Anyway, it's very interesting, you know, all these different.
So can
possible-
I just disagree with that?
Oh, please,
I
yes.
So I think that arch in the upper left corner, yes, I think that's not necessary.
Okay.
But I like the way keeping that sort of half circle in the bottom right.
Yeah.
I like the way it echoes the flower.
Okay, could be. And you
So
know, this is interesting. You're all seeing this. I can sort of up and, you know,
Yeah.
move up this back and forth and kind of virtually crop it.
I like it square. I think that-
Yeah, I mean, that's actually
Interesting, yeah.
almost a
Yeah,
That
better.
I like,
I
yeah.
think
That's nice.
cropping the top is now that I look at it.
Yeah, like now this, you know, this is
Yeah.
less of this and I'm okay with it a little bit. Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
just amazing
Yeah.
how, you know, just trying cropping and looking again and again can really can make some differences, can make
Got
you
it.
think in a different way. And of course, a lot of this is personal preference. And you know, that is what, you know, at the end of the day, you know, you really do want to hold into, you know, what you intended to do, but what also an eye to, you know, how is it engaging the viewer?
Mhm.
All right. Let's see, you know, this one is interesting to me, Katie.
I'd like to comment on one of these
it's-
other ones that is what really I worked at during the week, is some of those three.
Yeah, but you know, what do we want to say about this one? This I would say this is one that I would, you know, could go back to. It's a lot going on because you're separating out these areas. You know, we have a lot of sort of angular shapes, you know, quite a bit of textural stuff going on in the painting, and a lot of white. So this is one that I think is calling for some cropping.
Mhm.
Or,
It is, I did paint the background. It is like a bluish gray, so there is a
Okay.
color there.
all
But
right,
that-
but,
It's still
well,
empty space.
yeah, I feel like still that value is very, very light compared with everything else. And it's, to me, these are, they're flying off a bit.
Mhm.
So I wonder if an additional, semicircle of another color that joins all this behind, I think number one, there's a lot going on that possibly could be simply by cropping it, made a little less overpowering. And look at both sides, both the top and the bottom, and see what you can do with that. When you cover the top half and you look at the bottom of this one, I'm feeling strongly that one more, maybe like a plain flat color behind some of this could
Like
just
the-
help ground it all.
Like to possibly paint it in?
Yeah, paint it in, exactly. You don't have to re-glue or anything like that. That would be something to try.
That's another kind of question that I had, is like, I was looking at some of these and thinking, geez, I could just paint over them too, right?
You can certainly do that, absolutely. Now, yeah. The collage is yours.
Yeah.
And you should feel free to do with it what feels like the best resolution.
Yeah.
And by trying it, you'll learn. Did you like that? Did you not like that? What did you
Yep.
think about it?
You-
All right, so we've got just a few more people. I want to make sure that we close and we get to everybody significantly here, but I do think that this is an important conversation. Let's see. Let's take a look at Joan. Joan, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces here.
Wow.
Yeah, anybody wanna weigh in? Which is the strongest one for you? Which is the one that's
So
strong?
playful and fun to look at.
Yeah, they
Which
are.
one do I like better?
Yeah.
They
like-
remind me of games.
Yeah.
Reminds me of color forms.
X,
Do you
or-
remember
well, it
color
has
forms?
those primary colors. Yeah, it's lovely.
Gumball machine, one. would say.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the round circle does that. I think I like number 2 because it doesn't have, the focus isn't an enclosed, kind of an enclosed circle. And the variety here.
Mhm. Okay, so we're gonna take a look at this one, Katie. Is that right? This is the one?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right, yeah, so how is it leading your eye? What do you feel like design-wise it's doing?
My eyes go from one circle to the next circle.
Yeah, for sure. How do we get to some of these other elements? How do we get down here?
My eye gets stuck on the white. It feels like there's too much white,
Mm-hmm.
so that everything feels like
Floating in
they're
space.
not related. There's too much space in between.
Exactly, yeah.
I wonder if you took just the top half,
Mm-hmm.
whether
Yeah, well,
it might be
when
more
I crop it immediately, it has a sense of resolution to
Mhm.
crop that. Absolutely. Joan, I want to ask you are you seeing this? What do you agree? I mean, what are your thoughts about this when you were doing it? Oh, Joan, are you muted? Let's see, where is she? You're muted, Joan. Want to give you a chance to chat here. Bottom of your screen. Oh, there you go. Beautiful. Okay.
Okay, so-
Yeah. What do you?
Yeah, no, I realized that there was too much white.
Yeah.
But I started with all the circles.
Mhm.
That was an old piece that I cut up.
Yep.
And then I stuck with the 3 basic colors that I had picked. But yeah, I can see, I felt there was too much white. So had time to do another one, I would have probably started off painting of, like a blue background and worked with that, a light blue background. There isn't enough, that there aren't enough value changes also.
That's
Uh,
true too. Yeah, yeah. So, but I'm, forcing this issue about the negative space. So the white acts as negative space, but if there's too much negative space, then, the positives sort of have a way of floating off and not staying on the page. And so I think that's what we have here. You could simply, take that like a light blue paint and even just put like a semicircle in this bottom right corner, and all of a sudden these things would be grounded. It doesn't take much. I just think breaking up this very large area of negative space could be the thing that really is all you need, Yeah. The other thing about when you have the repetition of a form, it's a nice idea to go in terms of odd numbers, like 1, 3, 5, rather than 2, 4, 6. Here's my thought about it, that odd numbers are more interesting. They're not quite so balanced, and they also get your eye moving. So, and the other thing I would say is, not only odd numbers, but slight variations on the sizes that you use, so that they're not exactly the same. They might be smaller, they might be larger, but your eye is drawn to them because of the shape. So that would be something else to think about. Yeah.
What if she put a circle down in that lower right corner?
Yes.
That place, if she took took a third circle and put it down there,
That could
then
help.
you would,
Yeah.
that would.
Yeah.
help.
Wait, bring the eye down.
Exactly. That's another good thing. Yes. And some other size for sure. Yeah. Like a smaller or a larger, but that is exactly the kind of thing, how do we resolve? What can we do to make it, ground itself on the page and have our eye really, travel through it. Yeah.
Andrea, I have one quick question.
Yes.
And that is on that piece. I don't know that I've ever seen a collage that's round, but if you imagine a circle, it's kind of interesting.
Oh.
But there's a risk of the center circle. I think if I were doing it, I would make sure that that center circle wasn't the exact center of the framing.
Right. And the reason for that is it's more interesting. It's less balanced. And so, you're a little, you feel the movement going on a little bit more.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. 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 There is, the circular format is actually hard. It's really hard to do, but there is such a thing, of course. Yeah.
It's funny. I took a photo of it,
Yeah.
but you can't crop a circle to test.
Yeah, no, exactly. You can't. Yeah. And then let's see, Joan, just one more to, talk about this one. For me, it's the same thing. I think your focus is more on the positive and not as much as it could be on the negative spaces, and simply cropping down, like I would say, how about what happens if we cropped, this way down, like, I don't know, I'm taking off maybe 2 inches, or even cropping right into this top circle. Already it improves it, because I'm looking at, this very clear shape of white, and it feels as important and well thought out as the rest of it. Yeah. But you don't, again, you want to make sure that you're really giving your weight due to the negative spaces and believing that they are as important as a positive. And this is what happens when we start to name our various friends that we happen to see. Oh, it's XYZ. And then we get so enamored with the dog or the person or the hand that we forget about the negative space. And then, the design is not as strong because we have neglected to really see it as equally important. And that goes for how these things all settle up with the edges, of the edges of your page. Like how are they relating to the outer edge? And a lot of times it's simply a matter of, bringing up the edges, being more aware of them and careful, an intentional thing. Okay. Tally. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, what do we think? What do we have here with Tally's? She's got included some of her love of words, and but is there one where you're not even, the same thing goes with reading words. Don't let them seduce you. You have to try to pretend that they're just like, they're a texture. The letters are textures. That's all they are. They don't necessarily say anything.
And, Adria, there's one missing. Oh, I know. I'll get rid of it. It's the profiles that are blocking it. I'll do that.
Oh, yeah. Just move your profiles down. Yeah. So which one here is going to be the strongest one for you in terms of grabbing your eye and taking you through it?
You asking me? No.
Anybody? No, not you.
I think the one in from the right.
This one here?
Yes, with the
Okay.
purple.
All right. Why? And how is that working for you?
Well, I think that black line leads me in, the one from the bottom to the top, and then there's another black line that sort of is more horizontal and stops me, and so my eye goes around. I also like the mix of colors, the turquoise and the purple and the orange. I think the mix of colors are really good, but my eye really moves around. Then there's this black triangle. So there are a lot of interesting things to look at.
Okay.
A lot of
Alright.
shapes. There's shapes like there's this orange, partially orange triangle of different colors. Yeah, there's a lot of movement.
Great. And I agree. Yeah, we're engaged because we are seeing repetition, even if it's not exact, or even seeing, and you're right, the line, boy, the black lines really do grab our attention, don't they? They really are pretty great at, sort of, I'm having trouble getting over here. But we're following this edge, we look over here. So Tally, I'm going to say that this is pretty strong, but if you crop the bottom a bit so that this purple shape goes off the page, I'm finding it to be a little less complex and more clarity.
The circle shape you're talking about. You said
No,
something about
the purple
oh,
goes.
the purple shape.
It sort of trails
little-
off here,
Yes.
as does this. And I'm not feeling that this was particularly intentional down here. So if I just move up the crop, then move up the bottom edge a
Yes.
little bit, with these shapes of color going right off the page,
Mhm,
I'm finding that it's a little bit easier to read it.
mhm, mhm.
That's something to think about. But yeah, it's hard to do what you're doing. There's a lot of complexity, but I do think by the repetition, it's holding together. I think there's one that I'm finding holds together the best, and that's this one.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And it's, again, squint your eyes. You're going to see the big shapes. And, I'm looking at this one here, and, and this one is being the first dramatic. And then these red shapes being the second. And then these shapes of yellow, 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 and the yellow going off the page. So for me, this holds together in a way. It doesn't float, and you're doing a good job going right off the edges.
Mm.
I don't know,
Helpful.
disagree, anybody?
Yeah, and I agree. If I just look at the shapes and the colors
Yeah.
alone,
Yeah.
there's something that's more settling to my eye than the other ones.
Yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
And
And is
I
it-
think part of it could be with the other ones because there's more white and the stuff, it looks like you didn't glue it down. And sometimes that can be when there's a lot of different pieces and they're not like flat down.
Yeah.
And there's white and different shapes of the blacks. The turquoise kind of holds it together, but there are there's consistency in the colors of the two similar ones and the opposite, the yellow and the red and the turquoise. And it just somehow, there's shapes that are clear to me and it makes this one more pleasing to my eye.
Yeah, no, and I agree. And you've got a theme going here, Tally. It's, you know, these sort of organic rectangles. The rectangles sort of rule the day, and we see them over and over again. And yet we
Mhm.
also have this nice little interlude of the round, you know, that comes through here. So yeah, that's why I'm voting for that one as being the most successful one.
Oh, interesting, because can I just say,
Yeah, please.
the one that I like best is, it appears to have two eyes in a way.
Mm.
I almost see a portrait in it.
Oh, Tally, no. Yeah, it's.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's gonna be our downfall. You know, as soon
Pull
as you
back.
start to see something you see, turn your
Yeah.
shape, turn it upside down so you can't see it.
Oh,
It's just, yeah, get rid of it, because that gets in your way. And, you know, that's what's going to keep you from, you know, making all of your pieces as coherent as that one.
yes,
You
yeah.
know. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But it's the white, you're right. And it wouldn't take much to get back in here with, you know, a little bit more repetition of some of your colors. You know, like you have and you know, you might want to reuse this, you know, and also getting different values of your color. So right now, the black is your deepest value change, you know, pretty much. And then of course the white, and that's fine. But again, you know, are we really paying attention to the negative space, or did that just happen because we like the shape of this?
Uh-huh.
You know, it's always that back and forth, and how it relates to the edges. So yes, I would love to see you, you know, take one of these or the other and just play with it a little bit to get it to hang in there, you know?
Okay, thank you.
All right, Jean, we have a bunch from Jean, and she and I did a little back and forth during the week, but let's see. Jean, you have all these 6 together here.
Those are the first ones. That's the first set that I did.
Okay, well, let's start
You can
here,
look at
because why
that.
not? So which one of these 6, you know, are you most class, you know, drawn to, and why? And, you know, which is the one that's a strong design that leads your eye around it and feels as though the negative space is also really considered.
I like, even though it doesn't, the negative space isn't like paramount, the one with all the squares marching up, I like the repetition. I like the simplicity. It pulls me up, and that little blue line, it sort of connects the black squares, especially since it goes a little bit circular. Yeah, I like that one the best.
Okay.
Negative space is not primary.
Well, and you're right about, you know, we certainly, our eye absolutely goes from boom, 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 and right off the page. Yep, you know, there's no question about that. And that would be, you know, that certainly is its strength, and by the repetition of these little black squares, and also they have a nice sort of jaunty quality. But I would beg to say, how are you going to get back into this design right now? You know, and look, that's a different question. You know, if you're trying to say something in which this is, you know, this is key to what you're trying to say about an emotion, or, you know, or a topic, then all bets are off. But we're just talking right now in terms of the design that is drawing us most, you know, most in. Anybody else, you know, want to take another one that they think is a strong?
I like the second row, the one in the middle, the yellow shapes.
This one here?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. What do you think about
I
that
just find
one?
that your eye goes up and it comes down and it goes back up and comes down a different one. And the dark shape at the bottom is just sort of this grounding piece that with the squiggle shape allows you to kind of, you come down one of the yellow lines and you can go over and then up another one. It's just got a lot of movement in it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. And it is really fun to look at here.
And the colors are the blue and the turquoise and the yellow are almost so equal.
Yeah.
That you have this back, positive, negative space jumping around. For
Right, you
first
don't
it's
know if it's right.
positive and then then it becomes negative space and back again.
Yeah, so this is, yes, and I agree. This is very successful in terms of, a really interesting shape, and we definitely get ourselves, caught up in the hills and valleys, and of course the repetition. It's not exactly the same. It's a little bit of variety, but it definitely relates to it. My problem is this hard edge right here. And I guess this would be better if we just cropped it, why have that extra blue there? I don't know that it needs it because it isn't necessarily doing anything for the design. Jean, what do you think?
I just want to mention that I gave titles to all of them.
Oh, I want to hear them.
So the first one is Wide Open.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I love
The other
that.
one is
I like
After Murakami. And
After what?
Murakami, the Japanese guy who's just, I think that's his name. So huge mural, crazy things, all just full of everything. The third one that somebody liked, that's called Tumbling Down. And the bottom left one is Echo. And the middle one is Rising. The only one I don't have anything for is the last one. It's just trying to be as simple as possible using my colors.
Okay.
but-
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that I care about any of them.
Yeah. No,
Oh, I care. I think the two on the left are just like amazing. and
well,
the-
Katie,
at the
can you
bottom is
tell us
just-
why that is? All right. So, and
Oh,
let's
I
really,
just-
but wait a minute. Let's not include anything about these, a
the
noun.
first expression?
No
Say it
nouns.
No nouns?
No nouns. So
I
yeah,
think so.
the fact that this is figurative, we're just
Yeah,
going to ignore it. Okay, we just really need to do that for this particular session, right? So how, yeah. So what is it? What's working for you in this one?
For me, Katie?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well, if I was gonna pick one, I mean, I think the names that you gave, both of those first two, I think are just so loose and free and open. But that one, I just want to talk about the one at the bottom, the one below that with the yellow circles and the dots.
Yes,
I don't even know if I can put it into words. It's the combination of those colors. It's the background that is so, I don't know, complete. And then it's a combination of the colors. It's in the composition. It's just like, I want that. And I want it on my wall.
Okay.
There's something about that. I don't know
Absolutely.
how I
And-
can put it into words, but it's a very powerful one for me. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Katie. And so,
Sorry.
yeah, and I mean, everybody's gonna have, the things that resonate most. And I just want to come back to, what our focus is. And thank you all for sharing. I just want to come back to this one, because for me, this is the one that takes into consideration the negative shapes the most. And I feel that it is most resolved and most complete in terms of that, okay?
You
And
mean the middle one on the top row?
yeah, the middle one on the top row,
Thank you.
yeah. And so I'm looking at, the complexity that you have in the blue, and there's a lot of, interesting painting going on, but it's not too much. And you've got the circle repeated. So that is something, and this organic roundish shape is repeated and repeated. And my eye feels like it goes back in here and climbs up and then comes back around. And I am looking at all of this design. I'm taking it all in, and I'm able to kind of, I keep looking within it. All right. So this is why I'm really going to say this is the one where it's the most successful in terms of achieving what we're trying to do. These others achieve different things. This one, see, for me, still, it's floating, and there's nothing wrong with that if that's your intention, but this one probably could use, maybe one or two more background shapes that, cut right through some of these other things and go right off the page. That's what I would say with this one. So because I want to know that it's considered, so this one for me, Jean is among
I
us.
just have a quick question for Jean. Jean, did you collage it and paint over it with that greenish, bluish color at the top that has that effect at the top strokes of the greenish, bluish? Did you paint over the collage or was that in the
No.
paper?
No, that was from the trying to make texture on different
Okay.
Oh,
papers.
great, yeah,
And-
perfect.
Okay.
All right, so I want to move on and make sure that we get, oh, and Jean did a lot of other ones too.
Ooh,
But you don't have to look at those.
Well, and no,
Those are
but I mean,
beautiful.
it's going to be some of the same, issues too. You got some interesting colors for sure. And, we had a little bit of a discussion. This one, again, I feel that, you're enamored with the figurative. And that's
Yeah.
almost taking over, I think, to the detriment of thinking about the negative spaces or the contrast. So,
Yeah.
you're repeating and that's great. I would say, I'd love to see you work a little more on this one, for example, because it's an interesting problem. You've got these beautiful brush strokes, lovely color, not that much contrast. And how are we going to keep our eye from just sliding right up here and sliding right back down again? How are we going to get over in here?
Yeah.
Okay. Phew. I'm sorry if I short shifted anybody. Did we talk about everyone here? Speak
Yes.
now. I think we did. That was a huge time. Wow, everybody. Thank you for hanging in there with it. Phew. But I do feel like it's important to hone in on this and sort of discuss, what is it? So what I want us to do from now until noon is to go back and take some of those ones we looked at and work on them. All right. And do what you need to do to resolve them. Could be splitting in half, could be, and if you don't want to touch them, simply take a picture of them, maybe crop them in with various pieces of white paper you have, play with it a little bit. Feel free to do what you need to do, paint into them, whatever it is that you feel drawn to do to get us to believe that your negative space and the way you're getting our eye to move around, despite what it looks like, get rid of any ideas of looking like a thing. We're focusing on the negative and the positive as shapes that are equally valuable. Okay, so let's come back in about, let's see what happens in a half an hour, all right? And if you get done more quickly, Shani, but your question?
sorry, my brain is not functioning
Okay, yeah.
in the collage way today. So it's going to be rough going for the next 30 minutes.
Okay, so, well, do your best. Just go back to what you've done. You've already done. Everybody's got some that we talked a little bit about how you can improve it, how you can kind of get our eyes back to, some engagement, have fun with it. Don't be afraid to cut it, or if you just want to do it, take a picture of it while cropped in with something else. But pay attention to how the shapes relate to your edges. Okay, I will see you in about a half an hour. Or in 20 minutes, I'll say how we're doing. I mean, it may not take that long. Let's just see what we come up with. Okay. If you have any questions, feel free to call me. I'm going to mute everybody so we have a little quiet. And if you need to talk to me, just let me know. Another 5 or 10 minutes, everybody? Yeah, 5 or 10 minutes left?
Are we supposed to photograph them and put them on
Yes,
pad?
yeah, that would be great. Yeah, so the next step is once you, and even if you have a couple of them that you ended up doing a couple or made 2 out of 1, go ahead and photograph it, put it up on our collage page. And we'll take a quick look at what we've done before we go on to our final exercise. Okay, we're going to go ahead and upload our work. So let's try to do that right now, wherever you are, because the point is, not necessarily to be the finished perfection. It's just to, see what happens when you go back into something and you revisit it with a different frame of mind. What happens when we, gain a sort of better understanding of what we're doing and start to apply that to something we've already done. All right, so go ahead and everybody upload, and you can unmute yourselves whenever you're ready. And we'll start to take a look. These are looking good. All right, let's get everybody up here, and we'll start to chat a little bit about what we are putting up and what some of those changes have been. Okay, go ahead and everybody finish up putting up. Yeah, I think we have a couple more people still left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's begin. So I know we still have a few people left to put it up, but I want to just start the conversation. All right, Susan, you just put this up. We're going to go for you. We'll start with Susan here. And Susan, tell us.
I actually put 2 up.
Oh, you two.
So-
All right. All right. Well, let me just.
But this is the last one I did. So.
Okay. All right. So this one is one of them, and then your other one is hiding for some reason. I don't know why.
So
Okay.
this I just cropped.
Okay. Great.
And then the other one, I added an element.
Okay. Okay. So how do you feel about it now?
I think I would like to crop this even more. I think I'd
Interesting.
like to move the edge right to so that what's reading on the screen as black
Yeah.
partially goes off the page.
Okay.
So getting rid of that actual that kind of textured piece at the bottom, losing that too.
Okay. Interesting. All right. And do you feel intuitively that it's sort of sitting a little bit better?
Yes, I
Okay.
do.
Okay.
I also
but
took off the rough edge, and I like it better without the rough edge.
yeah, that makes sense. It really does. Yes, because then, it's another element and we're not sure what that is about. So
Yeah.
I think this is, and, I think too, your color choices are strange and interesting. They're
Well,
provocative.
they're not reading correctly on
Oh, okay.
on here either. It's much. I would have to enhance it so that it would be more similar. They're
Okay.
much more vibrant than that,
Okay. well,
and the dark pieces are actually sap green, just out
Oh.
of the tube,
okay.
and the other one is a burnt orange. The other
All right.
blobs.
All Okay,
They're
well,
not meeting properly.
okay, well, good enough. I mean, so yeah, let's just see this other one. Yeah, so you're feeling a little bit more resolved with that. That's great. And I do think that they're both more successful in that, let's be very careful to make sure we understand our terms. The entire, square, rectangle, whatever, feels more considered. It feels as if there's a
Yes.
reason that this is here. There's a really interesting negative shape happening. All those things are true. And then this little guy going back up here leads our eye, whoops, right back
Right.
into it. So we're not
Right.
flying off the page. Okay. Let's see. Oh, all right. Anne, do you have before and after up there already?
I have below, there's one before and after, and then I'm just putting the after, I'm taking a picture now, but if you
Oh.
keep going,
Okay. All right. Well,
see
all right.
where it's down there somewhere. I see
Okay.
it on
Okay.
my
So that's what's
tablet.
before,
Ah.
and
Oh, I don't see it on your.
all right. Well,
Padlet.
we'll come back to you. We'll come back to you. All right, Anne, let's look at you. And this is your revised little guy. How are you feeling about this one now? Anne Schaffler.
Awesome.
Anne, are you there?
How am
Okay.
I feeling about it? I'm
Yes.
feeling like I like the grounding, but I'm feeling like I'm not sure about that big blue thing.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Unless I don't know. I didn't want it to be too distracting, but it's,
Interesting. Well, but nonetheless, what you have done does feel to me more grounded and more. It's a design, that I'm aware of. You're really looking at these negative spaces here. So
Yeah.
a lot of it, is going to boil down to personal preference, but for sure, what we're after is this other element, whereas, is it visually arresting, and is that working that way? Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we don't want to spend too much time on any of these. We just want to, really just see the before and, the after of how you kind of resolve. So yeah, that's Susan for here.
here's-
Andrea, you just went by mine.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Where are you? Up here.
Yeah. Not showing the image.
Yeah, no. All right. All right, Shani, this is your after.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So tell us what you did with this one.
Well, I think I was struggling with that, olivey green,
yeah. Mhm.
shapes
Yep.
and moving them into the background, and then realizing that the whole thing just kind of went very unbalanced.
Hmm.
And so I turned it around, so it's now upside down.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so I added a couple of more lines into it. This is just like the most difficult thing for me, and I don't know why collage is so strange and foreign to me, but I guess I wanted to break up the shapes a bit more and really sort of have a language of vertical lines going through it. And it just became way too busy for me at the end. So I'll probably continue to work on it to see what I can do about simplifying it.
Interesting. And you know what? If you just take it in half again, you
Cut it in half. Yes.
You've got two really interesting, compelling designs, one on the bottom and one on the top.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
That's not a bad thing. That's not bad at all. It's just interesting that is what happens. But I think,
Yeah.
what's holding this one together anyway, and this also works, is you've got the dark value across here repeating on the bottom, and the darkness on the bottom is holding it, giving it some gravity, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But the question is, do we need these other things going on here? Because there's already a lot of action going on. We've got a lot of interesting textural stuff going on here.
Yeah. I also have a hard time with value on this. I feel like I've got a lot of mid-tone and I introduced the dark, but I can't seem to really get any light values out of this. And
Oh, really?
I'm not sure why that is, even though like this pale yellow is super, super light, it just
Yeah.
doesn't strike me as a light value.
Oh. Yeah, I disagree. I think you've got a really nice division of light, dark, and medium, you know, and these do really read. And you know, also this area here, which, you know, and these two, which are reading light, because you know, when you squint, the marks are very, very light. Anybody want to weigh in on that, Tishani? Do you agree that it's not, and she doesn't have enough in the light value?
Oh, I think she
there's-
does. I think she does, especially the background is
Background, yeah.
light.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah, exactly, exactly. And I think you do. So there.
Okay, okay.
And the strip on the right, the yellowish orange is
Yeah.
also light back.
It is, yeah, no, you know, again, squint your eyes, that's the way. And it's all relative anyway. Value is all relative. In other words, you know, you may have a whole set of kind of sort of what you think of as darker value. And when you squint, you know, one of them might be actually a lot lighter, even though it might, you know, normally be termed a more medium value. You know, it's all relative to what's going on in the picture. But yeah, I would just say, you know, keep on working with your simplification. That, you know, there's more than you really need to be eloquent here. And you've got a lot of really exciting stuff. That's all. Just kind of, what is it that's essential? You know, what is it it's powerful?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Susan, you popped up here. Susan St. Marie Surratt. Yeah, okay. So what are your thoughts here?
I don't like either of them. I like the original.
Okay.
They just seem forced and awkward, and they don't please me.
All right, well, fair enough, fair enough. But I do have to say, though, that this feels satisfying to me. It feels balanced and also energetic. So for me, you know, my eye goes up in here and follows around, and I am finding that I'm getting in here, you know. So I think you were successful.
Well, I just did this. I printed it out. I printed out my picture and then I cut it in half. So I didn't make any changes. To
Yeah,
the
a
original.
good idea. Yeah, that's a really good idea to do that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And this just seems totally arbitrary. Just, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't like having stepped on that black shape at all.
All right. Fair enough. You know, it might be fun to take a picture of this without the red on top of it and see what you get.
Yeah, I made a couple of extra copies.
Yeah, but anyway, you know,
play with it.
and thank you all for you know, humoring me and trying to do this.
All right, now mine.
All right, Anne. Okay, what
Right,
do you think?
And I think the before is in the same row, the top row on Padlet, because I just moved it.
Yes,
but-
yeah,
okay,
right.
yeah.
So this is the
There
before.
it is, yeah. So
Yeah.
there. So I filled in the white at the top with light blue, and I filled in another space with dark blue. So I think it's better with the color, because that
Yeah.
orange kind of fades, but
Yeah.
it stands out better with the dark blue.
No, exactly. I think it's stronger. I do. And I don't find myself questioning what's going on up
Right.
here.
Yeah.
You
no,
know,
I think it's
I
better.
understand that. Yes, yes. And it also makes me really enjoy looking at some of these details more. You know, I feel, you know, very, very complete by, you know, going in and looking at these interesting swatches. Got.
Okay, so that one worked, and then I took the little navy blue or dark blue out of the. let's
Oh,
see,
yeah. Uh-huh. And you used
down
it here?
somewhere. It's in there.
Oh, okay. Very good. All right.
So anyway, I
Excellent.
don't know
Good.
where.
All right.
It's hard to find them, but I saw it on mine a little
Yeah,
bit.
here, this little guy here. You took that out.
Yeah, I took that out, and it's in there somewhere without it. But anyway, I actually
Oh, you did. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
if you go down. It's
Yeah,
someplace.
you know what? Oh, it might be.
We don't need to. It's.
Okay, well, let's just,
I mean, if you want to.
yeah. Oh, here you go. There you go.
There it is. I mean, because it was sort of messed up because of the glue, but I think it's better without it.
Doesn't need it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
All right, let's go see who's else here. Where's everybody else?
Mine are on my phone, but they're not there.
Maybe refresh.
Oh, good idea. Thank you. Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you, everybody. There we go. There we go. Okay, I think. Well, Tally, you were up here, so let's go with that one. Tally, this is your updated one? Yes? I'm assuming this is Tally's updated one. Tally, what are you thinking?
Maybe
Oh,
she's.
it's muted.
Mute, yeah, unmute yourself.
I like the horizontal. That
Okay,
kind of, that kind
Yeah.
of pleased me.
yeah,
I
okay,
felt it, and I added that purple thing.
okay, okay,
Somehow, I like it better. I'm not wild about it, but I like it
All right.
better.
all right,
I
yeah.
think there's one just below it too, the same one, but I played,
This one here,
yeah, just
Yeah.
below it. Do you see it? Yeah.
yeah.
So again, I just moved the things around a little bit,
Yeah.
but
I mean,
I'm not-
I'm gonna say, this one right here, it bothers me because you know, you're cutting it so sharply. And it,
Yeah.
yeah, so maybe even get rid of it. I don't know that you
Yeah.
need it. Yeah, yeah,
okay.
all right.
But-
Yeah, but good. I mean, I think, you know, all these things are things to think about and things to go back to. Oh, and here's, yeah. So, yes, so you added a few more of our stars. What do you think?
I think it works with having more stars.
I do too. Yeah, I do too. I buy it. Mhm.
Yeah.
And
nice.
yeah, you know, you possibly could still crop that on the top a bit. Just because I want to make sure that, you know, when I up to the top of the star, that I'm also coming back around. And it's a
Okay.
little far.
All right, bring it
But-
down. a little
But yeah, but you know, again, you know, I want you to agree with me and, you know, or not, you know, and.
Yeah,
and-
I was trying not to line them up too much.
Yeah, no, that's
so-
good. That's a good thing. Yeah. But yeah, but these are all, you know, these are all things just to try. That's all. And
All right,
and things that can really you know, should have shifted for you. Joan, this is much more successful. I'm glad that you did what you did here, because I feel like that's hanging together for me a whole lot more,
oh, yeah.
right?
Wow. Mhm.
I
Yeah.
made a bunch of triangles and filled them in and then tried to get, well, in order to get the space, the negative space.
Yeah.
And then I tried to do values by painting the background blue and I sort of messed up in the middle, but hey, what are you gonna do?
Well, no, but it's really giving the effect of cohesion. You know, I don't feel like these are flying off into space. I feel like they're really grounded. And I
Yeah.
think
Right.
that's the virtue of, you know, getting rid of that white. White is such a loud, bright, you know, it can really just kind of blast apart, if you know what I mean, you know, things with it, unless you're, you know, very strategic about it. So I think just toning it down and also letting these shapes go off the edge
No, that makes.
really, really helps you dramatically. Yeah, good, 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 good. Okay. Katie, all right, you, it looks like you did two different ones here. Let's talk about this one. How do you feel now with this one?
Oh,
Katie, are you there? Unmute? Oop, what happened to Katie?
Okay, here I am,
Oh, yeah,
sorry.
okay.
Yeah, I started out with a very light kind of lavendery wash that you
Yeah.
see in the air. And it wasn't enough. It was too strokey. So I went in with this really strong, I didn't finish it, but
Yeah.
strong kind of purple just to fill it in. I
Yeah,
don't think that's the color either,
Yeah.
but it got me to play around with painting, and which is what I want to do. I want to start. you know, just like, I like learning about the design and everything, you know, with the collage, but I think my future with this is more incorporating this into a painting. And
Uh-huh.
by doing this, I feel like I'm getting there. Otherwise, I just feel like it's too much cut and paste and shapes, and it's just not like a painting from me. Do you know what I mean?
Well, no, I mean, a lot of artists use collage as a great way to get started painting, you know, and and you know, it does this double duty of, you know, giving you ideas, and you're not like faced with a scary white canvas and not knowing where to start. So it's really a great way to begin. And
Yeah.
you can absolutely, you know, translate some of those ideas. Okay, yeah, I mean, I think it's better with the purple, certainly better than the white.
Yes,
You know, I agree with you on that. And
And I could still add some other shapes of color into it, but I couldn't do it with just that white. I just couldn't
Yeah,
see it. But at
you're right.
least now I can see it. And if I want to add something more to it, I can.
that's right. And you can see now the dominant shapes are these lighter value, interesting sort of prints that you have, you know, these are secondary, absolutely. And the value is very close here. The blue
Yeah.
and the purple almost melt together. So we're
Yeah.
not seeing, you know, a great contrast, which is probably good because there's so much going on up here.
Yeah.
Good. All right. And then you have another one here. This one.
The other one I
let's see.
just cropped,
Yeah.
cropped top down lower
Yeah.
and one of the, and the right side in. And I like that better.
It's better. Yeah. It's definitely reading
Yeah.
better, less
And I took the little
because you
thing
got
off.
a lot of stuff going on. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Katie. Yeah. Yeah, less is more. Usually. Jean, let's see you. All right, you went back into this one. Tell us what are you thinking now? Are you like it better?
Well, I like it better. I didn't get, I think, to think about the shapes as much as I might. But I liked adding a little bit of colored text and
Mhm,
also
mhm.
changing the, you know, the painterly part of the yellow rather than just bright yellow.
Uh-huh.
Yellow
Uh-huh.
really kills me anyway.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. Uh-huh.
So I liked it. I don't know if it's, you know, anywhere, but it's better, I think.
It is
Mhm.
better. It is better. I mean, I love that this goes off the
Yeah.
side of
that's
the
so-
page because again, it grounds it, you know, gives it some you know, weight, and it also creates this really interesting negative space that I think, you know, especially in the top half is really nice, working very nicely. You know, I think maybe you know, one more thing over here that might go off the page on this side, or maybe even behind, you know, this a little bit could be one nice addition to it, but it is stronger. And, you know, I'm happy that you decided to you know, pick up this middle value here as a foil to your colors, to your other pieces.
What about turning it upside down? That might be interesting.
Yeah, certainly. You know, it's hard to, I'm too bad this program doesn't let me do that. So I can't really see that. But that's something to think about. Always, you know, sideways might even be stronger. But you know, as I look at it here, I'm saying, okay, why does this not quite touch?
Didn't have enough.
I'm sorry, that's not an excuse.
Cropped it with your finger.
Didn't have enough of it.
Oh, I love it. But you could actually just crop this and get, you know, bring it up a little bit
Yeah.
more. Okay, very good. All right, who are we? Let's see. Shana, you already looked at this one, right? That was your early.
Yeah, that was earlier.
This is actually a very strong piece too. This has got everything that the other ones do, and you know, there's a clarity here. So I think you can really
Mhm.
feel pretty resolved about this one. My question would be, why?
That.
Why and why? Why have these little triangles left, you know, which is
Pop off that part.
Yeah. It doesn't need it, you know, it doesn't require it, just, you know, cover them up.
So, okay.
All
I'm
right. and
looking
Jean-
at the Jean one.
Yeah, this is Jean's other one here. Whoops.
Odd.
Okay. Yeah,
Well, I just started fiddling with it
Aw.
and I didn't
Oh,
complete it, I don't think, in any way. I mean,
yeah.
the dancer disappeared.
Oh,
Well.
dear, I would please.
All right. I know we
know
next
what's
get
wrong with that
connected.
underneath thing. Why would you cover that up? It's so beautiful. That's
No,
fine.
no, no. All right, but I think for the sake of this design, Katie,
Right.
you know.
Okay,
What I
sorry.
think, yeah, I mean, no, we're look, we're all gonna just fall in love with things and then, you know, and sometimes you won't even be able to say why. That's perfectly fine. What we're just focusing on here is that the balance, that the sort of resolution of the design, you know, and that is important. This thing I'm driving home with you, negative space, negative space. If there's anything that you take away from this damn class, you know.
I get it.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. So, and you know, all these other things, color and subject matter, all of it is seductive as hell. And you just have to, you know, see it, but then stop seeing it. And, you know, go to the place where the design itself is also resolved. You can have both. You really can. Yeah. Okay, who else is here?
We do everybody?
Did I do everybody? Did we? Anybody? Any missing? No? Really? Okay. Well, good. I mean, forgive me if I did, just let me know. But okay, maybe we didn't. Good. Great, everybody. That was really excellent. And I feel that you all got this message and that's great. All right, so for the next half hour, we have one more hands-on, and then we're going to stop for the day and, you know, just have kind of a roundup questions and answers, anything that's not clear, where to go from here, all that other stuff at the end. So for this next 30 minutes, not a lot of time, right? That's okay. I would like to challenge you to make 3 5 by 5 inch ish. Don't worry about measurement. You know, we're not talking real big. We're not talking about real small, but you know, something like this.
Square.
Right?
Square, yeah.
Square. We're going to go back to squares. And I want you to make one collage that suggests joy. One collage that suggests calm. And one more that suggests sadness. So we had talked a little bit about, you know, leaving today with trying to make meaning, you know, with this collage idea. And so, you know, again, without going too much into figuration, trying not to be too literal, I wonder if we can play with what we've been doing and come up with designs that suggest emotions. Just give it a shot. And in terms of colors and all that other stuff, I'm going to leave it up to you. It's a little wider open. I'm certainly happy to have you keep going with what you have already, all the materials that you've already cut up. I would say you could include photography if you wanted to, like if you had some magazines and you felt compelled to use imagery, you could do that. But again, make sure that you're thinking about a composition that is formed for a very particular reason. Okay, so in this case, it might be really different. For example, you know, and loneliness is not one of our suggestions here, but if loneliness were the subject of one of these collages, it's likely that you would have a lot more empty space, a lot more negative space. And in this context, that would be fine, right? Okay, so I'm gonna let you have it. Go for it. Let's see what we come out. And we're just a short amount of time here to come up with 3 collages or as many as you feel you can get done in the time.
Joy, and sadness.
Yes. Calm, joy, and sadness. And again, I'm going to mute everybody, but
Hey, Adria.
Yes, hi.
I have a dumb question, but is it easier to work with like tweezers or like chopsticks?
Absolutely. Tweezers
something
are great. Yeah, tweezers are
like-
absolutely fine.
I feel really clumsy, like moving things around.
Yeah,
Maybe
do you
I'll-
have any? Do you have any there?
I've got some stuff. Oh, a trusty X-Acto knife.
Oh,
That
there
will
you
work so
go.
that I can
That's
stab
good.
the pieces.
Yes. Very good. Excellent.
Thank you. I needed that brainstorming
Okay.
session.
Sure. Happy to help. And we just tell everybody not to overthink. These are supposed to be pretty quick designs. So, don't be too worried about them. Again, these are research and development. This is exploration and not necessarily finished pieces. We've got another 10 minutes or so. when it's time for you to put your work up, I would suggest that we try to put all three together in one snap. That would be just easier for us to see them together. So just do one photo with the three pieces near each other. Thanks.
Adria, I sent mine separately, but now I'll send them in a bunch so you can delete those
Oh, okay.
separately.
Thanks, Jean. Hey, just 5 more minutes, everybody. Do the best you can, and if you haven't got all three, don't worry about it. We're just trying this out as a little exercise to experience, that next step, which is using, the collage technique and what we've now learning about the elements of composition to see if we can begin to make meaning. Okay, everybody. Let's get those up here as we come to the ending of our class and have a chance to see these, and then some time to regroup talk a little bit about what we're going to take away from this whole experience, questions that you might have, and call it a day. So again, take your 3 pieces together in one photo. It'd be a little bit easier and faster for us to see what we've got.
I didn't get to glue anything down.
That's okay. That's fine. It's good to me.
Oh.
Gina, are you back in Buffalo now?
No, I leave Tuesday.
Ah.
Yes, is it been an extended visit?
Uh-huh.
My brother has had to put up with me for way too long.
Oh. Okay, I'm starting to have people put their work up. That's great. Let's get them all up now. No matter where you are. Again, this is research and development. This is seeing what happens, trying new things.
I like the concept of trying to get emotion across, because I feel like a lot of collage doesn't mean anything, and I don't
Right.
want it to get passed over.
Yes, well, and that's true. That's really true. So, and some people, just find it all the work, working with an idea like that, more fulfilling. It just depends on kind of what you're after in your practice.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. All right. We're getting them up. That's great, everybody. Thank you. It was speedy, but as you know, sometimes speedy is good. It gets us to just let things happen, not overwork, not overthink. I'll be curious to know if people find this difficult, or whether this was in fact easier for you than, kind of working just as composition.
Challenging.
Challenging, yeah.
Hmm.
Anybody else? Is this?
Anytime I have to do anything fast like this, I find it very challenging. So,
Yeah, and I think the time that I have where I can get into a place where I don't feel rushed, I think these kinds of things of like this issue of composition and playing around with it and feeling good, like what color, like I have the time to select the colors and it's more thoughtful. But that just comes after a while, I think, also with practice.
Yes.
For me anyways.
Yeah,
And
no,
finding that
absolutely.
place where meaning, I see it, you see something that has some kind of meaning for you when you just go with it and see where it leads you, kind of thing.
Yes, I mean, absolutely. And this is, you're in the workshop and, we are working quickly in order to, get as much as we possibly can. So given all of that, and I really do appreciate everybody, doing their best to try to do this. So I know it's a little constrained in terms of time, but I also say that it's good to just knock things out, just do a lot of them. And, yes, the more practice you have at doing this, the easier it does come, and more strategies you have to kind of get a certain place. All right, I'm going to get started talking because I want us to kind of move forward. So if you're still putting your work up, go ahead and do it. Meanwhile, let's see, Jean was first. she's a fast worker here. And,
Wowza.
and again, quickly, Jean, what the first thing I notice about is as these are very cohesive. They feel very well planned and don't and not floaty. And yeah, so they're quite cohesive. What do you think? Do you feel
Yes.
that way about them?
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. The muted colors, they're soft, they definitely, I can identify which ones.
Yeah, Katie, what do you think? Which one? So I think we can all probably guess which one Joy is. Am I right?
Yeah.
I think so. Okay.
Right?
Yes.
One of them, yep.
But I did give you a little bit of a tricky thing, calm and sadness.
Yeah.
That can actually kind of be mistaken one for the other. But I'm gonna see, which do you think is calm?
Definitely. Calm is the one in the middle. It's the one my eye kind of goes to because
Ah.
it feels calm.
Yeah. And what about this one?
Yeah, and that one, those colors, yeah, they evoke a sadness. those
Interesting. Jean, is that right? Is this one
Yes.
sadness?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah. All right. I think that was a really interesting little grouping there. Okay, let's see
Beautiful.
here. Susan, we'll get back over to you. Hold on, where did Susan go? Woo! This is the weirdest. Thing. I don't know why it's taking so long. Oh, stop. We're gonna go back here. Hold on. New things are coming in. Sorry about this, everybody. Just trying to get this to work. All right, Susan Kinsella. Open post. Okay, there we go. All right, we have two here. Yeah, and again, I'm finding both of these quite cohesive. Do you think there's something about the square format, everybody, that just feels more conducive to wholeness? I don't know.
Yep.
I don't know. I like the square format, but I don't know if it's maybe the size.
Or maybe it's
Is
a
it small?
size, yeah. But so far I'm seeing just compact, feeling very resolved design here. Susan, real quickly, this is interesting. Now, can we tell which is which? And there's a third. Well, actually, you actually said
No,
it.
there isn't. I only did two.
Yeah. So this is calm. This is joyful. And so part of it has to do with the color, doesn't it? I think that's one way certainly we read emotional content. Absolutely.
I felt the first one was sad. Isn't that
This
funny?
one's sad. This one's,
Yeah.
or calm. She says calm here. So
Oh, okay, sorry.
yeah, no, that's okay. Yeah. So, and it's interesting how calm, can be read in, with a color as well. Let's see, Susan, I'm just trying to find your other one. You know what, I'm actually, you're gonna forgive me here, guys, to go a little bit more quickly because I want to make sure that we have time to, have this wrap up too, but let's see. And we'll look at everybody. Okay, and I think, this is another one where the joy was probably the easier one for us to recognize. And we're gonna, probably be having to work a little bit harder to decipher which is which. But it's interesting how we go for these horizontal lines to talk about both sadness and calm,
Mm.
right? And color, I'm gonna guess that this is sadness, but I don't know, Anne. What do you think? Am I right?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Yeah, and I think it's because of the closeness in value of these two colors,
Yeah.
you know, and then this one feels less, you know, sort of dark and kind of oppressive. This one feels, you know, and calm, of course, we think of landscape. So it, you know, I guess what we're saying is we have a common language, even one that is not verbal, to get across ideas. How interesting is that? All right. Joan, we're going to talk about yours here. I'm going to guess this is joy. And again, mostly because of color. Yeah. And is this a little bit of metallic paper you've used in here?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to say this is sadness.
Yeah.
And I think some of it is the ripped quality of a black sheet of paper, you know, that I think does give us that sort of feeling. I'm wondering about this shape, that whether, you know, that might sort of deflect the sort of, you know, general feeling of that, you know, because but I certainly get the drift in the rest of it here. Yeah. And again, the calm, you know, we know calm. This is calm. We have landscape, we have seascape. It's the horizontal lines. We read that, we understand, we recognize that, absolutely. And we're going to find, you know, the joy is going to have more diagonal lines. You know, I think you're going to see that over and over, probably in people's work, that's sort of a, you know, another thing that we read very, very well. And you're giving us one at a time, which is okay. Yeah, this is quite evocative. Is this a painting now, or did this end up being? It has the quality of painting. Anyway, I'm going to say this is sadness. And I think it's
Anne is muted.
oh, Anne, you're muted. Unmute yourselves, everybody.
Sorry, I was talking away.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't have time for sadness, so I copied one of my pandemic feeling prints.
Oh, okay. Well,
So I cheated, but
Yeah.
I did the other
I
two.
think you got it.
okay. Yeah. No, that certainly reads, doesn't
So at
it?
the end, on the
Yeah.
end of the row is the other two.
Right. And there's something, you know, about the sadness, the minimal, you know, kind of approach, the, you know, the less is more kind of thing going on here. And again, we have the horizontal, you know, indicating a calm, and of course, joy being more circular, more dynamic, more movement, you know, certainly suggests that. Absolutely. And your colors as well.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see, tally. We have 1, 2,
Those two.
these two together. Okay, yeah, just two. All right. They're pretty close. I'm gonna say this is joy, because you have the sort of uplifting, you know, you almost could envision
Yep.
those as being arms.
Yep.
I mean, that's another indicate, you know, this is like, you know, that bodily experience that we have of joy, of kind of release and upness, uplifting, you know, we see that in these ways here. This one, because of the colors being so close, I'm less sure, but I'm going to say that's probably sadness. Am I right?
I saw it as calm, but
Oh, you
close
got it.
enough.
I see it as sort of centering and being calm. You know?
Okay. Okay. Very good. Yeah. Yeah. So that's a little bit different than the ones we've had, and that's fine. That's just, that's an interesting thing that happens. Absolutely. We don't have to all be exactly the same. All right. Let's see, Katie. Okay, we're going to take a look at you have this one here. Anyone want to take a guess?
Sadness.
Sadness? Is that right, Katie?
Yep.
Ah, okay.
Felt like a little womb in there, curled up in
uh-huh.
a fetal position, sadness.
Yeah.
Blue is a little comforting of the sadness. That's what it felt.
Yes, so we know that we can rely on color choices, and, you know, again, this is interesting. It's like a frown, right? The curvature is not uplifting like this. It's more curving, more nurturing, you know, literally. I mean, this is how our minds do relate. You know, we see these things and they do, you know, inspire us to think about a composition in a certain way. Katie, this is another one of yours.
Oh, yeah. Yep, that's it. And then there's another one around there somewhere. Yep.
All right. What do we think?
Calm.
Calm. Yeah. I'd have to say that too. Yeah. Yeah. You know, more
That was
horizontal.
more joy. That was more joy for me.
What's this joy?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Reaching.
Okay. And
And then
wait, this one?
Yep.
What do we think of this one? Sadness? No.
Joy.
Joy.
Oh.
This is joy. Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So if this one's joy, and the other one is the calm. This is calm. Okay, interesting. But you see, you still have the
No,
horizontal.
wait a second. No, that's joy. And this is the one with the blues and the greens is calm for
Hmm.
me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. But you know, I'm actually, this one is really relating to your edges quite nicely. Speaking of, I'm feeling like in general so far when we're looking at these, there's a cohesiveness that I wasn't seeing as much, and that's really, really good. Susan, you've got this one interesting one here. What do we think?
Sad.
Sadness.
Yep, you're right.
Sadness. Ah.
sounds
You
nice.
know, what can you say what brought why you think that?
Turbulence of the
Oh,
the print
good
and the
point.
black and the brown, the blackish background and the brown, but then there's this turbulence.
Good point. Very good point. Yeah, I see it now for sure.
A little empty.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
And let's see, Susan, do you have another?
No, I just did one.
Okay, that's fine. No worries about that. Okay, and let's see, who are we missing?
And Shani,
Here,
Oh, Shani.
I've just got one sad
Okay.
Shawnee at the bottom of the screen there.
Ah,
Sad Shani.
Shani. Yes, Shani.
Not really.
Um,
Wow.
Definitely didn't have enough time.
Well, no,
think
that's
this
okay though.
through.
No, I mean, I think this is,
It's
you know,
sad.
here's a really interesting thing. So I think you did a great job in terms of, you know, I'm going to say this is, you know, you said sadness. Yeah. And, you know, it's the black, it's the gray, it's the, you know, sparseness here. I think it really holds well together. Here's a very interesting thing. Some images that we use are extremely loaded, and just by using them, you can get across a huge amount of information. You know, we can't help but look at, you know, a skeleton or a skull and are immediately thrown into a darker place, literally. You know, if you took that away, I do think you'd still get the sense that this was sadness, Shani. You know, I do, and even even without it, right? But we
Mm.
also have to be
Kind of
careful.
funny,
when-
such a major dark black and dark and even shapes like that.
That's right.
To
Yeah.
me, some of the stuff I see too, it connects to death, which is
Yeah.
kind of like the, you know, they're connected in a way, I guess. They
Well,
definitely are to me.
that is interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's why, you know, when we do use these really potent images, you know, that are just really unmistakably linked to, you know, what we perceive as death, we have to be careful to use them when we use them, you know, sparingly. And you know,
Did I go too far?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Did I go too
Yeah.
far? And
No,
put in
no, not
this
necessarily.
drawing?
It's just an interesting thing I'm pointing out. No,
Yeah.
not
Why
necessarily
do
at
we
all.
have to use
I'm
them
just saying
sparingly?
it works both, you know, even if you can't really see this from a distance, you know, I think you're conveying an idea, and, you know, we also see this and then it's unmistakable, you know, but I think both works. Yeah,
Okay.
it's just an interesting thing that when we start to use imagery, you know, it can be incredibly potent, just and sort of take over everything, you know.
Yeah,
Just-
yeah.
So, yeah. All right,
she's
everybody, I think we took
Happy
time.
over there.
Oh, here's Happy Shawnee. Okay, great.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
I was gonna cut that one into a square because I do think it's better as a square, but it's a new one. So to
Yeah.
me, this is happy.
Yeah, Shawnee, and you know what? This one holds together
Mhm.
very well. Very well, I would say, you really got this going. And in half two, it does, but it also does work as a whole better than the other ones. There's less to distract,
Yeah.
and you're
Well, plus
repeating.
that central yellow, very soft shape.
Yeah.
That's a joyous, happy color,
Mhm, mhm,
and everything is kind of revolving around it
mhm.
in a nice way.
Yeah. All right, good, you guys. All right, nobody else? I think, did we get everybody? All righty. So, wow, everybody. Give yourselves a huge amount of credit for getting through this, really, I've been working you really hard. All right, we have just a few minutes to wrap it up. I want to know what your takeaways are, and are there any questions or other kinds of things you want to bring up before we sign off?
Mm.
Andrea, can you
Um,
recommend maybe some additional sort of readings that we could do as a follow-up to sort of continue? What we've
Sure, I'll
got
send
built.
everybody some things in the mail. Yeah, in an email, with
Okay.
things that you can look at, different artists to look at too, and
That's
some
great.
good things to
Yeah.
follow up for sure.
That's
Yeah,
very helpful.
yeah.
Great.
Anne is
thank
going to
you.
say something. Anne Robertson, go ahead. You were going to say, yeah.
Or Joan, go ahead, Joan, go first.
I made a list as you were talking a little bit earlier,
Mhm.
of things to try to keep in mind. Patterns, values, i.e. contrast. Don't be afraid to edit, and cropping. Shani mentioned the rule of 1/3. Also, odd numbers in the repetition, and also size. And then the big one is negative space for me.
Yeah.
We love negative space.
That's a
Negative
lot.
space is the thing. Absolutely. Great, Joan. That's a good list. I like
Yeah.
it,
I wrote it down.
Good.
Yeah.
All right, Anne, yes, you're.
Well, one thing I noticed very much is how much more difficult it is to work with color. And that just working with black and white, even longer could be of value. And the other thing I feel, we got so many new ideas. Joan listed a bunch of them, some new, some not, but important ideas, that I was sort of thinking, if I worked on my own for several months and then came back for another 2-day, 2-session workshop or something, I think that'd be really valuable for me. But to have quite a lot of time just to try to absorb it and see where I would go.
Yeah, no, that sounds
But thank
great.
you. It's been really good and sort of intense, but good, very good.
Yeah. It's a crash course, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, thank you. No, that sounds good. So I may do that. I like that idea. Anybody
Yeah.
else? Any other questions or Katie?
This has been great. And what I really like is it's gotten me to slow down and just the exercise of whatever size I'm doing it, but create, having shapes and just like getting in a place where I can play with shapes and have these things in mind and come up with something that I can feel I like, or it's pleasing to my eye and it feels complete, and know how to add and subtract. What I kind of really like to do is and I've seen different artists do it, of like using collage in their paintings.
Yeah.
Like, so it's more incorporated into it.
Mhm.
Because I really do really like this, but sometimes the feeling that I get is it's so much cut and paste. It's like, how to take this to get it more kind of embedded. It's
Mhm.
like a start, but it
Right,
can
well-
lead me into a painting that I don't know exactly where it's going to come. And I know sometimes you and I talked about like using fabric, or because
Yeah.
how I might do that, kind of like with collage, but maybe it might end up towards a painting. Do you know what I mean? How to make that leap.
Rauschenberg.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, that's a
definitely.
great person to look at. Robert Rauschenberg,
How do
very,
you
very
spell
good.
that? How do you spell it?
Rauschenberg. Burg. He was an artist from the mid-century of our last century there.
Right.
And did wonderful, he was really one of the first artists during that time who really began to use assemblage too, not just collage, but assemblage meaning taking actual things like stuff and gluing them right onto a painting. But yeah, I would say the answer to your question, Katie, is better applied to start a painting, and then these are painting ideas. So
Right.
collage, you can think of collage and also this sort of thing that underlies all collage, which is composition, as a building block. And you can use the ways that collage helps you see and work to build a painting, that they don't have to be separate at all. And a lot of artists
Yeah.
do use both of those things, but I would say you still need to make sure that you are, in
Following.
dialogue with your edges, with
Yeah.
space, all the same way, and in which case, and then your texture, your, wallpaper samples or whatever it is that you're gluing into the painting ends up acting as texture. It ends up acting as shape. It ends up just acting as just another element that paint can be on top of, because it's kind of all of the same material. But I don't, it's a bigger question than we have time for today, and it sounds like a question that could really be addressed in a painting class. More than.
Would you ever do it in another collage class to do that, or would
I
you?
haven't done it yet, but that's kind of an interesting idea. Maybe I'll think about that for like a 3-day workshop. But thanks.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else?
Andrea, Susan?
Yeah, Susan. Hi.
That's all.
Yeah.
Hi, I just want to respond to what Katie said, because it's really interesting. I started into 2D art making through collage and had to really work hard to start painting into my collages. So it seems like it's the flip side. And I think it would be great to do a class where you did collage and then painted into the collages. So,
Okay, well, maybe we'll do that.
yeah, I think it would be great fun.
I think I'm gonna play around with that.
Absolutely.
Even some of this just to
Just jump in,
and
Katie. Just
keeping
try it.
everything in mind, because we spent a lot of time on this.
Yeah,
know.
it's just the next, kind of thing to try. Absolutely.
I appreciated being able to take time in your class to just focus more on, like you said, the essentials of negative space and pattern and relationship of shapes and balance. Because I feel like sometimes I either go into a slump because I don't know what to do, or I just am sort of feeling brainless. But this sort of got me back on track. So
Oh,
I
good.
really,
I'm glad.
yeah,
Thank
it
you.
kind of just hit some sparks going again. So
Excellent.
I appreciate that.
Great. Thank you. I'm glad that it did. Yeah. Tally, anything else? Yeah.
So Adrian and I talked before the class, so there's some, I'm not going to address that, but one of the things that I talked about with her was the idea of adding more texture to my paintings. And I think this class has pushed that out for me in some kind of way. And it may be interesting to play with some of the collages and focus, but paint them.
Yeah.
And focus on different textures as well as shapes and colors. So thanks for that little push.
Great. All right. Well, I'm hearing, an interest in a class that sort of takes, the collage or the collage ideas or composition ideas into painting, and that might be something really interesting to people.
Mhm.
Anything else? Anybody else want
I really liked the working small. That was a lot of fun. I do a lot of postcard collages, but 3x3 is even smaller than that. I really enjoyed that size. It was easy to go from one to the next and get a
Yeah.
flow going. One evening I did 7 or 8 of them in a row, and they were just, it was just really productive and fun.
Good, Susan. Yeah, I'm glad you think that. And I really did push everybody hard to get it done, get it done, get it done. But you know, you were all troopers, and you managed. Great.
And
all right, well,
thanks for telling us how to make the string around the block or the box.
Oh, yeah.
Those
Different kinds of
designs,
textures, yeah.
really, I love how they look. So
Oh, good.
I'm gonna keep doing that.
that's
Yeah,
good.
me too.
But it's, you know, this was it felt like 9, you know, so we had 9 hours of class, but it for me, it all still feels like not enough. But you know, I do hope that this was what it really was meant to be, which was this little starter, you know, little Kickstarter for everybody, and giving you
Yeah.
some really, you know, good things to think about and ways to look at your work, maybe to help you solve problems with it, or you know, kind of take a look in a different way at what might be some other kinds of things you could do to resolve a painting or to resolve a design. So it's a work in progress. It never really stops. It's just kind of more of the same, and you know, making it a practice, and you know, more that you do it, the more facile you get at it, the more ideas will come, and you know, and I think it does feed itself. So thank you so much, everybody. It was really fun.
Thank
to
you.
work with
Thank you,
I have
Adrian.
one more-
Thank you.
I have one more quick question. So do we have our like email addresses? So if we wanted to like share some stuff that we might, I
Yeah,
don't know if
sure.
people are interested in that, but
Yeah, I'll send that along to everybody.
Okay.
Unless
That's
you don't
great.
want that. Yeah, I think you
That's
already
good.
are shared, you know, on a lot of the things I've sent. But
Yeah.
what I will do is I'll send, you know, information about how to follow up, and emails and all that
Great.
stuff. Have a great
Great.
rest of your
Thank
day.
you
very
everybody.
much.
Okay,
Thanks
thanks
so much,
Adriana.
Adriana.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you all.
Thank
I'm
you.
glad you've recovered from
Bye.
COVID.
Me too.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, thank
Great.
goodness.
It was
Yeah.
a quickie.
Bye, guys.
All right. See you soon.